we just had the Super Bowl, and a lot of people expected there to be a trailer for Episode 9 during the Super Bowl. And then there wasn't one, which got a lot of people, wondering what's going on. I think that Lucasfilm and Disney are saving it probably for the Star Wars celebration, which I think is in April. It would be a good highlight to get people pumped and jazzed, and that would be a great venue for it. I mean, it's a place, Star Wars has a divided fan base right now because of The Last Jedi and Solo. And so I think, Lucasfilm and Disney want to release that trailer in an event that's going to be hopefully a groundswell of Star Wars love, right? Like, the Star Wars celebration. And so that's the place to do it, maybe, There's going to be people already pumped and ready for some cool thing to see. And here we go. The Episode 9 trailer. No, I could be wrong, and Lucasfilm could release that, next week or something. But after that glorious trailer is released, to hopefully get people jazzed for Episode 9 when it debuts later this year in December, what happens if Episode 9 comes out and it tanks? Or it succeeds? How will that affect the future of the Star Wars movie universe going on? And first, I'll start with what might happen if it fails, if it underperforms, if it gets bad reviews. J.J. Abrams, I think, is trying everything he can to save it and unite the fan base. And he's the best person in the current Star Wars roster to do it, because, Rian Johnson can't do it. And Colin Trevorrow might have tried to do it, but, Kathleen Kennedy kicked him off of The Last Jedi. And, there was Phil Lord and Chris Miller and Solo. They were kicked off. Ron Howard did a good job. But, the Star Wars fan base was so mad that, Solo was taken out. So if Episode 9 fails because Star Wars fans are so unhappy, here's what I think will happen. I think Kathleen Kennedy will definitely be gone. They'll get rid of her. If they aren't even starting that process already. I know they renewed her contract. But, it seems to me like she might just be a figurehead right now and doesn't really have any actual power. At least not as much as she once had. And I think, as a lot of people have, insinuated, they renewed her contract because, they need to, clear the palette. They don't want to, hire someone else to take over Star Wars in the middle of this mess so that they get this mess. And if, Episode 9 tanks, this new person who hasn't had a chance to do whatever, he or she would have done would get the heat for it. So, it's like, let's let Kathleen Kennedy stay, and if Episode 9 tanks, she'll take the heat, which, she deserves, instead of some new person who probably wouldn't be able to, no matter how great they were, they wouldn't have been able to save the Star Wars franchise in time. I also think that they would probably pivot, more to television, put the movies on hiatus and pivot more to making Star Wars TV shows, which, Bob Iger kind of said in an earlier interview talking about, Disney and Star Wars, how they were going to focus really heavily on their TV projects and put a lot of the movies, the episodes, on hold. And I think canceling for now all of those standalone movies they were going to do originally before Solo tanked. So I think that, I think they're going to put, movies on a longer hiatus and just focus really heavily on the TV shows like The Mandalorian that's coming out. So, I think they're going to focus heavily on TV, where fans, I think, still for the most part, are happy with Star Wars, or at least not as, pissed off as they are in the movie version of things. They're still, going to do that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss trilogy, the Game of Thrones guys, but again, like I said, they might want to wait a bit before they do that. If, people are really unhappy with Star Wars, let Episode 9, it's like we gotta, give people time to maybe try to forget about Episode 9 for a bit, the failure of Episode 9, and, however much time it takes, and then, rebuild faith in the Star Wars fan base with this new trilogy. Maybe that could take 2 or 3 years. Who knows? Depends on how badly Episode 9 tanks. But if Episode 9 succeeds, I think that Kathleen Kennedy, she may actually stay. But if Episode 9 does well, it'll be all because of J.J. Abrams. I think J.J. Abrams is the real main creative force behind Episode 9, as he should be. He's a better storyteller than Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, definitely. But, it would probably be better if they just give the franchise over to J.J. Abrams. Because he'll be the one with the sole credit, I think, or most of the credit, of making Episode 9 a crowd pleaser, getting the fan base back. It's not going to be Kathleen Kennedy, it's going to be him. Now, it could be, Kathleen Kennedy might get to keep her job because, Episode 9 does well under her leadership, even though she almost screwed Star Wars over, permanently. But I could see them, saying, you know what, JJ, you're gonna lead the Star Wars franchise and the movies from this point forward, and they'll give Kathleen Kennedy the chance to save face and say, well, I'm retiring to do whatever, moving on to something else. Or she could stick around, which I'm sure would upset a lot of people. But again, if episode 9 is successful and people love it and makes a lot of money, she can say, look, see what happened under my watch? You thought Star Wars was done, but I saved it, even though it'll really be J.J. Abrams who saved it. But what do you think? What do you think will happen if episode 9 succeeds? And what do you think will happen if it fails? What do you think will happen to the Star Wars franchise going forward? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.